Staying alive, yes. Wait, no, no! God damn it!
Staying alive?
Not alive anymore!
Watch her ult. Yeah, her ult's gonna come in any second now.
No, I dodged the.
Oh no.
And I should answer. Ha. Ha. Ha.
Sharky, are you being a good boy?
Okay, hold on a minute. Let's start from the beginning, shall we? Like, how did we even get here? Ah, 2016. The internet sure was different at the time. I'm sure nothing bad happened that year, right? I'm getting off topic. In this pivotal year, with the cementing of giants on YouTube such as Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, and more, the site would be met with the birth of the first ever VTuber by one Kizuna Ai.
見えてますか？聞こえてるかな？はじめまして。私の名前はキズナアイです。どうぞよろしくお願いします。普通の YouTuber と違うぞと思ったそこのあなた。なかなか鋭い。私実は2次元なんです。あれ？ 3D だから3次元？まあとりあえずバーチャルってことで、バーチャル YouTuber って響きかっこよくないですか？
Kizuna Ai would be the one to coin the term virtual YouTuber, which would evolve into VTuber for short, and how for many this would be the start of how VTubing would begin.
Alright, my name's Annie Yukihime, or Annie Yuki for short. I am a VTuber that streams on Twitch, AnnieYuki_VT. Well, honestly, just like a lot, I bet just like a lot of VTubers learned it from one of the OGs, Kizuna Ai, and just the idea of having a persona be representative of you just sounded more appealing than just showing my IRL face, honestly. So that's kind of how I figured out about VTubing and how I started. It's just from the OG Kizuna Ai.
Throughout the next couple of years, despite the introduction of such a novel concept and the initial explosion of the channel, for the West, though, VTubing would kind of be really niche and die down. You wouldn't see much of VTubing content unless you were in Japan. Of course, that all changed with
fast-breaking developments in the coronavirus emergency in the U.S. and around the world. The number of cases soaring just today, more than 24,000 now nationwide.
2020 was the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. With stay-at-home policies in place all over the globe, more people had to stay inside, which meant more time for hobbies like gaming and streaming and YouTube watching. Of course, what nobody predicted was that the YouTube algorithm was just bringing VTubers into the recommended section for thousands right at that exact moment.
Coco hates simps? No! I love simps! Kaito risking her life for us simps makes me complete. I need to risk my life for the simps! Yeah! Whoa!
You would find VTuber clips all over the recommended section for thousands of users on YouTube, causing a giant wave in VTubing and VTuber recognition. These clips would not only see this wave in the West for viewerships increase, but also an increase in Western VTubers in general. What was an extremely niche market was, well, admittedly still niche, but it was growing.
So I'm Erosita, or you can also call me Ero.
I just recently debuted, I want to say like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I'm still currently PNG tuber, and I'm a celestial space bubble, and I'll be doing like variety content. So it's basically anything from gaming to doing hand cam streams, doing like Lego building and model making. So yeah, really excited to start the VTubing journey. So I kind of always wanted to just get into content creation, but I've always been like iffy on like showing my face, if that makes sense. So I was like looking for options on how to do this faceless without just doing no webcam. And I've heard of PNG tubers for a while, so I kind of just looked into it and stumbled upon like Live 2D and all the whole VTubing scene. So it's kind of accidental, but also pretty cool because I've always wanted to do something like that. So that's kind of how I found it.
Despite growing in the West, VTubing still has a lot of inspiration from the Japanese idol culture, such as debut streams, where it's the very first stream of a talent, to the final streams being called graduations.
I also was very confused on what a debut is. I was just about to do like a simple, hey, this is me stream, just start right off the bat. But as I got to know a little bit more about the VTubing culture, debuting is more or less saying to the community, hey, this is me as an individual, this is my avatar, and this is the kind of content I want to create. And a debut's kind of like a show and tell in terms of who you are. So you can kind of get everybody rallied up, and it's very supportive. I was lucky enough to have a lot of support for my debut. And as far as graduations, it's the opposite. Oh, I am either ending content creation, or they just don't feel like VTubing's for them anymore. Graduation's like, this is my last stream. So it's kind of your beginning and end.
Now, why would someone want to be a VTuber versus a traditional content creator? Well, there's a bunch of different reasons. Some of the perks include increase of online anonymity. You know, you're using a model and you're not having to show your face. To others using it as a way to express themselves freely. A bunch of different pros are thrown into being a VTuber.
There's like, I guess like, as Shrek says, there's multiple layers to this. I'm like an onion. There's multiple layers. I am very much an outgoing person, but socially, especially meeting someone for the first time, it's very difficult for me to feel comfortable around them. But whenever I used to do, not like, I wouldn't say Omegle, like Skype, whenever I do Skype calls with League players all the time, I felt more comfortable just not showing my face and just having just a profile picture. And then figuring out that, hey, you could still have a face as a VTuber, but it's just not your actual face. It kind of helped with that social anxiety. That's why I felt more appealing to be a VTuber.
My main pro was kind of just keeping your identity to yourself. I know a lot of larger creators, they don't really mind being kind of in the foreground, not really, you know, hey, this is me type thing, but you get that extra veil of protection, if that makes sense. Because I mean, if we're being honest, the internet's kind of crazy, and just the VTubing scene in general. So like parasocial issues that go on. So keeping that veil of your like identity is kind of my biggest pro for that.
Let's see. Pros of being a VTuber. 1. As I mentioned before, it helps with social anxiety. If you don't want to show your face, but still like talking to people, this is one way of communication, as I'd like to say. I guess another appealing thing is it helps give yourself a self-fulfilling title. Like, you type in on the internet YouTuber, you type in Instagrammer, you give VTuber just gives you a title to help others find you, so it helps form a community. It helps you find that community, because every community needs a name, and we as a group collectively just agreed on that our name should be VTuber, so it just helps find other people. That's the pros of being a VTuber, is that it is very easy to find others like yourself that just want to have a persona.
Of course, as with anything, though, there are downsides. Some of these can include costs or the dramatic increase of parasocial interactions between streamer and viewer, with the dissonance of a model making the viewer see the talent more as a character and not as an actual person.
I will say, I think it's gonna be about the same as if you were to do just, regular content creation showing your face. It's maybe a little bit worse since people kind of idolize the character on the screen rather than the person behind that character. So there's that extra, like, they're not seeing me, the person behind my avatar. That's kind of the one worry about, the whole parasocial relationships, because they're not really, thinking about the person behind that. So maybe that adds that extra little, I guess, danger to it, I guess you can call it. I definitely do think that would happen more. Mainly just because it's that people are just obsessed with face reveals and they just want to know who's behind the camera. You can say as much as you want as a creator, like, I don't want to, I'm not comfortable showing myself or something like that. And there will always be those, couple bad apples that are like, well, I'm going to try everything in my power to find out who this person is. So yeah, I would say it is a little bit more adamant in the VTubing scene because, people just want to find out others' identity for some weird reason.
Money. I will say it is very much possible to be a VTuber for cheap. There are free models out there. You could literally just be a PNG, like a non-animating one, without paying for anything. There's lots of ways to be a VTuber for free. However, if you want to make content, if you want to be, like a traditional YouTuber, you need to throw in the shekels. There is no way you can do it, be a VTuber for free. There's absolutely no way, unless you are also an artist that is a VTuber, which I've seen. But then on the flip side, you also have to be a rigger. You have to pay for riggers in addition to paying for the art for the VTuber, and those costs eventually stack up. And I am, I'm not gonna deny that I have spent a lot of money on models. So it is not, that's probably the first con I can think of. It's not cheap. Second thing is, the con, if there are people that for whatever reason, don't like anime, and you're making content on something, the first thing a lot of people will say, like, oh wow, you're an anime person, that's pretty cringe, you freaking weeb. I've heard lots of insults like this, and unfortunately that just comes with the territory of being animated anime characters. Like, you'll be scrutinized by the internet very quickly.
Now, we've been talking VTubers in general, but I think it's time to make an important distinction where there's two different types of VTubers, generally speaking. There is the corporate VTubers and the independent or indie VTubers. Corporate VTubers are, well, just that. They are content creators who became VTubers under a corporation. They have these contracts and they have managers and the backing of talent agencies. Some of the biggest companies to date are HoloLive and Nijisanji, with some Western companies coming in and throwing their hat in the ring to these monoliths of Japanese corporations, including VShojo and Idol Corporation.
There is nothing you can do to stop me from adopting new plushies. This year, I welcomed many new beautiful, unique Skrunklies into my home. Today, it is my greatest honor as a member of the Kaleido royal family to introduce you to these little guys! This machine is vanilla flavored, which is good because that's one of the only flavors my nose lets me detect. Score Bunny is a little scoundrel, but Piplup makes sure it stays out of trouble. When I saw them at game, I cried. This little bundle of joy loves snuggling up under the covers and drinking hot chocolate. His name is DJ Night Cruisin'. Retro Kirby fills a special place in my heart. It's the place that really likes Retro Kirby. New Shark! He doesn't have a name yet, but I still love him. Leave your shark name ideas in the comments below. Audience participation! My brain stopped working! People keep asking, Rin, what the f***? And Rin, you can't declare an IKEA shark heir to the throne, and why are our taxes going toward this, and who are you? And I just want all of you to know that you're all haters, and I'm sending you all to super jail! That being said,
independent or indie VTubers, as the name suggests, are individual content creators who don't have a contract with any of these corporations. The biggest distinction between the two, though, indies have more freedom freedom in the types of streams they can have, the games they can play, and they don't have to ask for permission for these games, whereas companies like Hololive and Nijisanji have to get permission from the game publishers before they're allowed to stream it, since they are under a company. Of course, being an independent, you're also required to have your own funding. While still mostly young to the Western audience, VTubers have been growing slowly from the lower views of the early days to some debuts now garnering tens of thousands of viewers at one time. It's easy to get lost in VTuber Twitter with announcements of graduations and debuts left and right, with debuts just garnering a ton of attention and tons of likes. It's hard to predict where VTubing will go next. It's already evolved content creation in new ways though, from fun takes on hand cam streams to the different collaborations and how those collaborations work out with other content creators, not even just other VTubers, but other creators such as Coefficient or even on podcasts like Trash Taste.
Wait, what, you did?
Yeah, so I was at a friend's house that I hadn't seen in a while, and I really couldn't reschedule hanging out with her. So I went into the bathroom in the morning, and I took my laptop, I took my USB microphone, I pulled myself real up close to the camera, and I did a staring contest with everyone, and it did really well, actually.
I definitely do think it is heading towards being mainstream. When I was still looking into even getting in content creation, I was unaware of VTubing as a whole. So there's definitely a large percentage of people who don't even know what VTubing is. And I do believe with a lot more people jumping into the scene and a lot bigger VTubers kind of collabing with, I guess you can call them flesh tubers, with IRL people, it's getting to the point where it's going to be become mainstream.
How I see VTubing in 5 years, I feel like we're gonna hit one of two roads. One road is that as kind of like the idea of supply and demand, as more people are introduced to VTubing, that there will be a higher demand for VTubing, and that we'll see an inflation of more VTubers, and that would be great. The second road I can think of is we're actually going to see less VTubers, because artists in that realm of demand proceed to increase their prices, or artists / riggers to increase their prices for the growing demand, which will deter people from being a VTuber. So we're actually going to see less VTubers, but with that there will be a higher amount of quality, I suppose you could say. So it's like two sides of the same coin. It's either we'll get a lot of VTubers or we'll get less VTubers, but with a lot of quality behind, because artists are now increasing. That's kind of how I see it. Now, do I think it will end in 5 years? Definitely no. I feel like we'll go up, only up from here.
I think it's gonna, I've seen a lot of things. Recently, there's been a whole debacle on whether or not it's gonna just fizzle out and kind of die, because I believe that its peak was in 2020, when the whole COVID thing was going on. And obviously that would make sense since everybody was at home. I mean, they're going to be watching a lot more content, so it would make sense that 2020 was the peak of VTubing. Now that everybody's kind of going back to normal life, I think it's kind of just going to fizzle out a little bit, but with the surgence of all these new creators coming in, I think it's gonna, like we mentioned before, kind of become a little bit more mainstream on normal content creation.
And while things could change from now and even 5 years out, and heck, even 2 years from now, these avatars look to keep doing their own thing, inspiring others and just having a fun time while doing it. Who knows? Maybe after watching this video, you'll be inclined to make your own model and start streaming as a VTuber.
Stop stressing so much. I was ready to debut, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 months earlier than I actually did debut. And it was mainly because I was so stressed about hitting that go live button, and I was like, what if? Just a whole bunch of what ifs going in my head when it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, when I did debut, my power went off. So all my planning, all my like, okay, this is gonna be my perfect stream, it will never go the way you will plan it in your head. You just have to go out and do it and get that experience.
Do not be afraid to start. I think that was my main thing. Like, I was always eager to start and to make content creation, to be a VTuber. However, I remember the first like month, like struggling to find an identity as a VTuber. Like, I this was before I decided to present myself as a transgender girl, and I was very mixed in terms of how to find that identity. So I tell myself, just do it, just decide who you want to be, and that rocky start wouldn't have felt so rocky. Because I know, knowing myself, I'd probably agree and just say, just go ahead and do it. Just do it. Just do it. I can't move my arms with this model, but insert Shia LaBeouf. Just do it.
Okay, now I have to ask, because you said Legos. What's your favorite Lego set?
Oh no, there's just way too many. But right now, when I went to Target the other day, it was a typewriter that actually like functioned, like it could move. So I think that one's my favorite right now.
Wait, they actually have that? No way.
Yeah, it's so cute.
Okay, that is officially one of the coolest things I've ever heard. We'll edit it in post.
Okay. Yeah, we'll fix it in post. The famous last words. We'll fix it in post.
We will fix it in post. It's fine.
Oh yeah.
All right. So just I have a few things just to let you know. There's a list of a few questions kind of I want to go through. We can go off on tangents. That's just
totally fine.
Yep. No pressure or anything. So just to start off, because this is going to be like a documentary side of things, and I'll be honest, most of my classmates aren't going to know what the hell a VTuber is. If you go,
you're a special breed.
If you'll go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit.
Okay.